I'm Dave once again with TJN, the Jesus Network, and it is time to change the planet. And one of the things that's very exciting to me is we're here at the Justice Conference here in Portland, Oregon at the Oregon Convention Center. There's a lot of ministries that are really engaging to try to make a difference. One of those is the Micah Project. And I've heard that it started under a bridge in Burnside, Oregon, and it's moved to Honduras. And with us is Brian Wiggs and Marvin Morazan. So Brian, step a little closer here. How did this start under a Burnside bridge?
This started about a month and a half after I got saved, December 19th, 2004, when I became involved with Bridgetown Ministries and found myself underneath the Burnside Bridge here in Portland, Oregon, feeding the homeless and reaching out to the least of these. And in the process, God was grooming me to step outside of my comfort zone. First, stepping underneath the Burnside Bridge and serving nachos to a homeless guy was kind of outside of my comfort zone.
That's out of a lot of people's comfort zone.
It is, but it's an amazing place to start. See, ministry has to start here. It has to start. You have to grow where you're planted, so to speak. And in the process, God led me on a short-term trip to Honduras, and I had this big plan. I was going to be a missionary to missionaries. I was going to go fix their cars. I was a mechanic by trade. And as I stepped further and further through the door, I realized that that wasn't God's plan, that was my plan. In 2009, actually 2007, I came back from my second trip, and I went to my boss at Car Chevrolet, and I said, you know what, I've got great news and I've got bad news. Good news is I had an amazing trip to Honduras. Bad news is I'm leaving the automotive industry and I'm going to Bible College at Multnomah. So it was an amazing time, a 2-year process, not only for me, but my wife and my 3 children. Yeah. And we found ourselves November 17th, 2009, on an airplane headed to Honduras to work alongside what is the Micah Project. Now, the Micah Project started 12 years ago, taking these young boys off the street and out of dilapidated orphanages and giving them a hope, giving them a future. They come in, they're highly addicted to yellow shoe glue. They are abused, they're abandoned, they're neglected, and they have no hope, no future. What God has really done is began a restorative process through a man named Michael Miller, who created the project. We've had about 36 young men come through the project. We've graduated 16 through high school. We've graduated another 6 through college. Now, these are boys that at 4 and 5 years old were sleeping under cars. These are boys that were thrown away into the streets, abused and abandoned in ways we can't even imagine. Some working in the dump, most of them eating out of the trash. And God's really done an amazing work there. We've got 6 that have graduated from universities, 2 from Missouri Baptist, 2 out of Houston, and 2 from Zamorano University.
So what exactly does the Micah Project do? You take them out of the streets, you clothe them, you feed them?
We clothe them, we feed them, we give them an education, but more than anything, the foundational problem that's missing here that leads to people in the streets, that leads to people in the streets throughout the United States, throughout the world, is a lack of family. There is no father figure. What Micah has done is created this haven, this small piece of heaven where there is nurturing family love. It's not a great big giant orphanage. We have 15 young boys in the program right now at the Micah House. We have another 8 or 9 at the Leadership House. But it's based on family. It's based on that love of Christ, that agape love. I love you no matter what. I love you for who you are. Loving people because people matter. That's the heart and soul of Micah. Now, we've got young boys in there right now, Axelito, Megalito, Wilmer, and these other young boys that spend so much time on the streets addicted to glue that they don't have the capacity for college. So I went down 3 years ago thinking I was going to be a missionary to missionaries. God said, no, you're going to start a welding program. So I look up, and we built a shop on the roof of the Micah House, and we started teaching welding. Then those guys built another shop right on the same roof where we're now doing carpentry. In November we graduated, we started with 18 young men, and we set the bar pretty high. So these are God's resources, and you got to be a steward of that. We had to suspend some guys. We had 3 guys killed in the streets. last year. We ended up graduating 5 out of 18 in November. Those 5, Franklin, Edwin, Marlon, Christian, and Fabian, they are now the teachers and the directors of this technical school. It's about building indigenous sustainability, and that's what Micah is about, forming future Christian leaders of Honduras, and it's really become just an amazing, amazing program.
Amazing, Brian. Marvin Morzan, step a little closer here. So how are you involved in the Micah Project? Step a little bit closer. There we go. How are you involved?
I became part of Micah in 2006. Well, I met Micah when I was in 2005. I had no family, no clothes, anything, no education. And I became part of it because I started working with them, with groups like Brian Weeks, and their churches went to Honduras, and we started working with kids and building houses for some of our moms and dads, you know. And then I became part of Micah Project. They gave me education, the place to stay, you know, like food, clothes. After high school, you know, they sent me to Costa Rica to study Bible and ministry and music, you know, to be in one of the privileged schools in Latin America, Instituto de Canción. You know, I studied there, and after that, I went back to Honduras, and now I'm working as a Bible teacher in a private bilingual school in Tegucigalpa.
Praise God. Where would you be now if it wasn't for the Micah Project?
Well, before that, I was living in correctionals. You know, I never lived with my family at all, just with my dad. But you know, that thing, stepmother and stepfather, was too much for me, and I left my father's house when I was 12, and I went to correctional. But basically, the future that I supposed to have, without the mercy and grace of God, it's been in the streets using drugs, and maybe, like we used to say in jail, when I was in jail, there's only 3 ways to live this life. You know, that's the highest dream that we have: being in jail, being killed, or kill. And that was my future. Those 3 things. You know, and if you can see our pictures right here, there are like a lot of guys right here that had my future, you know, but God took me to another place, and here I am in Portland, confessing.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Brian, people want to get involved with the Micah Project, maybe financially or otherwise. Let's talk about financially, how they can give, and if they want to volunteer their time or really hands-on get involved, what do they do?
They can go to micahcentral.org, or they can go to wigsfamily.blogspot.com, and there's all the resources right there, how to give to the technical school, the Micah Project. We're in the middle of building what we call Micah 2.0, that's going to have a new house outside of, we're right down in Tegucigalpa in Barrio Buenos Aires. We average in Honduras right now about 30 murders a day. It's overwhelming. And so we're going to move our boys outside, about 20 minutes outside of that area, and into a new home. There's going to be a full-blown technical school there. There's green spaces. We have 7 acres. We haven't even started a capital campaign, and God brought us the funding to purchase 7 acres right there in Villa Linda Miller, which is another God story, and you can see that on micahcentral.org. Our number 1 goal is character development. We teach that on a foundation of Christ. It's character, leadership, and valor. And you combine those things, and then you release these young men to be the future leaders of Honduras. And we cannot do it without the help of people here, and we cannot do it without the indigenous help of the elite in Honduras. And what's so amazing is God has bridged that gap. This past December, a man named Simon Coffey, he is the consul to the United Kingdom of Norway, a major business player in Honduras, threw a reception at his house. This is the 3rd one. I was able to speak to former presidents, ambassadors, men of business like the Bill Gates of Central and South America, and talk to them about living a life of significance over success. And I challenge everybody watching this to to take that to heart. What's it mean to live a life of significance over success? I think if you live a life of significance, success automatically comes on that foundation of Christ.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Again, the website is micahcentral.org, Micah spelled, as you can see it in the sign, MICAHCENTRAL.org. It is time to change the planet. You can get involved and you can make a difference. I'm Dave Adams, TJN, the Jesus Network. It is time right now to change the planet.